Hello, this is Donald L. Hughes, editor of Christian Writing Today. Welcome to the CWT Learning Series. Each video offers writing techniques and inspiration. In this video, we're looking at how to overcome writer's block. Well, right off, I have a confession to make. The title of this video isn't totally accurate. The reason is because I think writer's block does not exist. The idea is like the tooth fairy. It exists in the minds of children, but we know someone else is putting that dime or dollar under the pillow. People claim they have writer's block for two reasons. First, because it's a good excuse for not writing. People claim they are writers, but they don't write, so they say they have writer's block. In ancient times, they had a better excuse, I think. They said they were waiting for the muse. The muses were mythical goddesses that spoke in the ear of writers and musicians and gave them things to say. Feeling lazy? Not productive? Just tell people you're waiting for the muse. Now, let's get back to the real world. Writers don't write for one of two primary reasons, in my view. The first one is poor planning. If you research your book, fiction or nonfiction, it fuels your brain. Then you need an outline. An outline is a roadmap. You can go off the beaten track if you want, but you really need a map. I outline everything I write. I may hit dead air with one point on my outline, but I can jump to another point and just keep on writing. There is no law that you have to write fiction or nonfiction in a particular order. Plan your writing by doing some research on your topic and create an outline. So-called writer's block will evaporate when you do that. The second real-world way to avoid the writer's block excuse is to understand the dynamics of motivation. If you are a Christian writer and your main motivation is to please the Lord, well, you have less of a problem. Feeling less motivated on a particular day? Well, that's the time for prayer. Ask the Lord for a burst of mental energy. But here's something important that you may be unaware of. That is, all creative people have something called resistance. What do I mean by that? Well, there's an event called a polar bear plunge. People jump into freezing water in their bikini or Speedo, usually to raise money for a charity. Imagine yourself at the water's edge. You came to help the charity, yet you don't plunge in immediately. You pause. Should you jump in or not? You think about the knife-edged sharpness of the freezing water. Your mind is frozen just thinking about the decision. Well, that's an example of resistance. It's mental and emotional, at least on a human level. What causes this resistance? Well, it's fear, self-doubt, and that cancer known as perfectionism. But that's just how it manifests itself. The cause is deeper. In his book, The War of Art, Stephen Pressfield identifies resistance correctly, I think, as a malignant presence that exists to block you. He says resistance goal is not to wound or disable. Resistance aims to kill. Its target is the epicenter of our being, our genius, our soul, the unique and priceless gift we were put on earth to give and that no one else has but us. Well, Christians recognize the kind of resistance Pressfield identifies as a strategy of the evil one. So we may experience writing resistance as fear, self-doubt, or perfectionism, but it's really part of the great spiritual battle in which we are all engaged. Ephesians 6:12 is clear about that. We do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil. So if you experience resistance as you sit down to write, then don't blame writer's block. You are engaged in a spiritual battle. Think of writer's block as I do. It's a superstition. You don't need to use writer's block as an excuse for not writing if you plan your work. Then do some introspective thinking. See the resistance you feel as the influence of the evil one and overcome evil with good. Once you understand these dynamics, you no longer have to claim that you have writer's block. You plan, you banish the evil one, and then you simply sit down and start writing.